Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Thank you to the voice of Ryan Treasure, Radio Red in the house. I'm waiting for LinkedIn to come up on Zoom and Zoom to come up on LinkedIn. I'm looking for the screen. Here we are. I see us all. This wonderful thing called live streaming. This is Read My Lips, cool conversations with creatives. It's a party. It's not an interview. It's not a book review. I just get really interesting, brilliant people on here every week. Monday night's my favorite night of the week. And I get to talk to them and find out what makes them tick, what makes them excel in whatever their passion is, what makes them follow their passion. What is their passion? How did it find them, or did they find it? So lots of questions to answer. Before we get started formally and before I introduce my three wonderful guests, I'd like my guests to put up your fingers in the shape of the letter L. I have to do this every week, and on the count of three, you're going to join me in saying hello. You have it right, Mark. Hello, LLL. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L. Not Jordan's my engineer. Jordan, they're kind of in the. Let's try it one more time. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L. I have a nice theatrical echo on that. That's really cool. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Leggs, our most loyal listener. She lives in Whitestone, New York, and I've been trying to get her to move to a place that starts with L. And I looked all over the map, and I found all kinds of places like Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, Las Vegas, oh boy, Long Beach, California, Lancaster, California, Lincoln, Nebraska, Lubbock, Texas, Laredo, Texas, and Little Rock, Arkansas. And then I realized that about 9 months ago, I wanted to move to London. Except I tilted my head, Dana, Andrew, and Mark. I'm giving you first names in my guess. I tilted my head, and the first N in London went upside down, turned into a U, and I ended up in Loudon, Tennessee. So I want to get LLL because it's cheaper to move her to Loudon. Andrew is thinking, what? Cheaper to help her move to Loudon than it is to bring her to London. So that's where we're going to move her. Laura has been with me as a friend and as a loyal listener for many, many years. And at 8:01 p.m. Eastern tonight, she will email me and she'll tell me how much she enjoyed my three guests and what she gleaned from what you said about your creativity. Isn't that really cool? She's like our documentarian. So here we are. I just want to know from my guests, is anybody here born under the sign of Leo? Anybody? I'll name you now. Dana Killian, no. Andrew Culkin, no. Mark Stephen Porro, no.
Well, I'm Cancer.
I'm going to give you a little chance to become an honorary Leo. You might like this. So quickly, we'll just do a little bit here. So quickly, tell me if you have these personality traits. You're going to tell me. Just wave your finger at me. So you love attention. Nobody's going to admit to that. Well, I do. Okay, Mark. Thank you. One honest person here. You're fond of drama. Okay. You're charming and charismatic. Oh, come on. Somebody must be. Oh, there we go. You have the power to command any room you enter. You're playful. You love to bask in the spotlight. You're theatrical, passionate, and vivacious. Anything in that long list, turn you want? Oh, we've got Mr. Porro there. Okay. You have remarkable bravery. You refuse to accept failure, and you have deep wells of courage that continue to grow as you mature. Andrew's not sure. Dan is she's thinking about it. Leo's actually, your confidence, if you were a Leo, could be taken for arrogance, but we're not going to talk about that. So anybody here would like to be an honorary Leo? Anybody?
I think I have Leo rising, actually. So
do you? Okay. Andrew, you want to be an honorary Leo?
Sure, I'll be an honorary Leo.
And what about you, Dana?
What the heck?
What the heck? I have a Leo in my family, and he was born roaring. So there we go. You're in good company. The famous Leos we're going to talk about quickly are Halle Berry, Meghan Markle. We won't talk about her. Mick Jagger, Helen Mirren, Sandra Bullock, Madonna, Ben Affleck, Chris Hemsworth, Jennifer Lawrence, Viola Davis, Arnold. I don't have to give his last name. Robert De Niro, Whitney Houston, Charlize Theron, Joe Jonas, Jason Momoa, Mila Kunis, Kristen Chenoweth, and I'll give you one more. Let's see who. Coco Chanel and Orville Wright. Oh, and Amelia Earhart. There's some people to aspire to. So thank you very much. We have some honorary Leos in the house. Let's go to introductions here. But first, I have to tell everybody that let's see what day of the year it is. August 21st. That means my section of Loudon, Tennessee just had our roads recoated, repaved for the third time today, and the truck didn't break down, and that's good. You can't drive on the roads because you'll track the black stuff on your driveway and all over. So we don't drive for 24 hours when we have that. So it's a nice holiday. It's the 233rd day of 2023 in the Gregorian calendar, and I don't know if anybody knows, but Pope Gregorian didn't like the Julian calendar. Did you know that, Mark? Did you know that?
I think I heard that last week.
He actually,
on the
I do it
show.
every week. He actually objected to it. Dana, he said to everybody, I don't think that Julian had the days, the leap days in the right places. I'm going to change it. So we added some leap days every 400 years. And so we ended up with a Gregorian calendar. So I think his mom probably called him Greg or Gregor or Grego. And she probably said, good job. We have a whole calendar named after you. 132 days remaining. This is the 34th Monday. And I'm warning all three of you, if you have anything special planned for New Year's Eve, we'll just say whether it's a cake or a party or a beverage, alcoholic or not, start planning now. We're just going to leave that one alone. I usually pick people and tell you what I think you're going to drink, but we'll leave that one alone. That's in honor of your book, Andrew. So let me tell everybody that I'm doing something a little bit different today. I usually write a very brief intro for the show. And because I'm using ChatGPT more and more, no, I know it's not perfect. It's a large language, but limited model database, and it stopped its research at around November 2021. So it doesn't even look on the internet. But I asked it to please write my intro today, and I got quite a kick out of this. So I'm going to use this. I've paraphrased it a little bit. It's a little long. So let's go around the table. When I'm talking about you, just wave. So I'm supposed to say, Bonnie D in the house, akaRadioRed. Hello and welcome to another exhilarating episode of Read My Lips. I'm your host, akaRadioRed. And today we're embarking on a journey into the world of creativity, family ties, and the art of commemorating life's unique moments. Does everybody like that one so far? How'd I do?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. I'm thrilled to bring you three remarkable creatives Andrew's liking that, whose stories and talents will capture your imagination as we dive into the worlds of, now wave when I call your name, Mark Stephen Porro. There he is, wave. There he is. Donna Killian. There's Donna. Dana. I'm still trying to get it right. I have three choices for pronouncing it. Andrew Culkin, you've been on before. Happy to have you back. I think he's a relative of the Culkin acting family, but we're not going to talk about them. So now let me tell you who my guests are. I'm just going to do a little tiny bit, but Mark, wait till you hear what ChatGPT wrote about you. I'm going to call it she. She says, Mark Stephen Porro is a true polymath, a presence across television, film, stage, and even in the realm of literature. From screenplays to short films, he started 5 nonprofits. His diverse accomplishments speak volumes, and today we'll explore his touching memoir, A Cup of Tea on the Commode, an intimate reflection on his mother's final years. Did you like that, Mark? Is that
So
cool?
far,
I liked what I like what it wrote. We're going to get to your full bio in a minute. Let me go on.
okay.
Next, we have Dana Killian. I got it right. She's going to smile at me every time. She's a trailblazer. She left behind a successful career in the apparel industry and reinvented herself as an author, crafting intriguing mystery novels featuring a fearless female investigative journalist, and she'll tell us the name later. Dana's artistic prowess also extends to the canvas, where she ingeniously hides words within her abstract paintings. Maybe she'll show us one, inviting you, the viewer, to unravel her visual tales. Did you like that, Dana?
I do. That's great.
Pretty good. I just gave it a one sentence that I wrote. And we have Andrew Culkin, a creator whose work, you're going to love this, Andrew, a creator whose work transcends traditional boundaries. Has anybody ever said that about you, Andrew? Don't answer. As the author of Amanda, you've got the book behind you, A Cautionary Tale, Andrew brings his firsthand perspective to the important issues facing families dealing with alcoholism and addiction. And he created a related coaching program that supports these families. But that's not where Andrew Culkin's creativity stops. Andrew's Mantique, that's antique with an M on top of it. I've never seen that word before, but we're going to find out. He creates Mantique shadow boxes that are an homage, Mark, I say homage with a silent H because that's the way the French say it, homage. But those of you who don't know, it's spelled with an H, homage. To his family and their personal treasures, and to Andrew's interest in cigar making artifacts and medieval weapons. Andrew, did you like that one?
That was neat. Yeah.
Wasn't that neat? I could share it all with you so you can use it in your new bio. So today's episode is called Commemorative Creativity. That's celebrating what at least two of my guests do. It's celebrating the fusion of art, family bonds, and stories that shape our lives, from poignant memoirs to mystery novels to artfully preserving cherished memories. My creatives will share with us their inspirations and their muses. So join me for the next hour as we explore commemorative creativity. What'd you all think? Was that cool?
Wow, pretty
Cool.
good.
Yeah,
And
it was good for
wonderful.
ChatGPT.
do you know how long it took? I put in my usual, which is about a sentence and a half for each of you. You saw that in the promo, right? You saw that little
Yeah.
bit I wrote. I sent it only that. It was less than 2 seconds it returned this entire introduction essay. Is that something?
Wow.
It
Impressive and scary.
Scary.
absolutely. It writes beautifully, by the way. I'm going to call her she. So let's go around the table. We want to know a little bit more about you now that we've glorified everything that you sent me. Mark Stephen Porro, I'm putting you on speaker view. Would you please do me the honor of introducing yourself properly and tell us a little more about your creative journey? Mark, welcome. And tell us where you are right now.
Hi, I'm in a little village called Pézenas in the south of France. So it is what is it? It's 1:15 here. So bear with me if I'm blinking a bit. It may be a little late. But so I grew up in New Jersey, exit 163 for those people who know the Garden State Parkway. And so I grew up drawing and being creative. My dad was a chemist and somewhat of a inventor and tinkerer. So I grew up in I guess a creative household. My mother was into the arts, so we all got involved with the theater and ballet. All of us were performing in the ballet from a young age. I did retire at 10 after getting fired twice on the Nutcracker, 2 years in a row. For having a bit of an attitude. So I was a bit of a prima donna back then. And then I wanted to be an eye surgeon. And people said, why did you want to be an eye surgeon so young? And I said, well, my best friend, after I thought about it, my best friend had an elevator in his house and heated sidewalks and driveways. And they had a limo instead of like a station wagon for the family. So I put that together and said, oh, I think I want those things. What does your father do? And he said, he's an eye surgeon. I said, okay. So I went to Ohio State for that. And I decided to switch over to something a little more creative, which was industrial design. So I got an industrial design degree. And I get bored fairly easily. So I gave that up pretty much and moved to Hollywood to try acting because I like new challenges. So my goal in moving to Hollywood was to be a good actor. So I started studying right away, and my goal was to get on Hill Street Blues, which I did. That was my first good acting gig. And then I started writing, and I think screenplays and jokes. I did stand up for a bit, and now I am retired in south of France writing memoir.
Tell us a little bit about the memoir.
Well, a cup of tea on the Commode. I gave up my my Hollywood life to rescue my mom back in New Jersey in the house that I grew up in. So she needed some love. She tried to shut down because she was very depressed. And so all of her kids, there were 6 of us, all came back home. And I kind of took over for her because the conditions in our home and also the people that were so-called taking care of her were not really doing their job. So I decided to move back and give her the joy and love and laughter that she deserved for her last years on Earth.
Very nice. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciated the description of the journey. I love that you wanted to be an eye surgeon because you wanted all those things. That I want to go to the part of the show where each of you has selected a fictional character quote or from a TV or a movie or from a song lyric, and you're going to relate it to your own creativity. So let's go now. Mark Stephen Porro, I'm looking for, you have picked a scene from Field of Dreams, the 1989 American sports fantasy drama film, blah, 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 blah. Kevin Costner stars as a farmer who builds a baseball field in his cornfield that attracts the ghosts of baseball legends, including Shoeless Joe Jackson, played by the late Ray Liotta, and the Chicago Black Sox. It also stars Amy Madigan, James Earl Jones, and Burt Lancaster in his final movie appearance. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, blah, 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 and it's in the National Film Registry. Here's the scene. John Kinsella, ghost of Ray's father, played by an actor named Dwyer Brown, says, "Can I ask you something? Is this heaven?" And Ray Kinsella, played by Costner, says, "It's Iowa." And John says, "Iowa? I could have sworn it was heaven. Is there a heaven? It's the place dreams come true." Mark, talk to me. What does this have to do with your creativity? I'm curious.
Well, baseball played a big part in my life, in my relationship with my dad. Um, I'd say for most relationships with fathers and sons, it brings them closer together. It was more like a wedge for me and my dad. Like, he was a coach and I was not interested in doing the fundamentals. But I picked that quote because when that movie came out, we still were very close as far as we'd go to the Yankee games and the Yankee farm system, the LA Clippers, where I went to college, Ohio State, the Columbus Clippers were the farm team. So whenever he came out to visit me, we'd go to the Clippers games. And so baseball was very important. So when that movie came out, I asked my brothers, or told my brothers, take Dad to see this because it's really good. And I cry at that scene all the time because they had an estranged relationship also, Kevin Costner and his father in the movie. So my brothers never did take my dad. So the next time my dad came out to California, I took him to the movie theater, and it was the Egyptian Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. At this point, the movie had been out for several months, and the theater was completely empty, except for me and my dad, maybe a couple of other people. And when that scene came up, my father was not a man who cried. It took me years and years to get him to say, "I love you" out loud, though he did. For him to express that was a big deal. So when we watched that scene in the movie, I looked over because I was bawling, and I tried to hide it. And I looked over and I saw him wipe a tear from his eye. So it meant a lot in our relationship. And I think that also for me, and my motto is always find the joy in whatever you're doing. And so I think for that character in the movie, Iowa was his heaven because he chose to find the joy in it. So I think you can find a piece of heaven wherever you want and whatever you're doing. And so that's the kind of the motto that I live by.
That's lovely. Thank you. What a lovely story. Appreciate that. Let's go to your creativity statements. You each sent me 4. I'm going to pick at least one from each of you and ask you to spend about 2 minutes unpacking it. So Mark, Stephen, Porro, I'm going to your first one. You gave me a generic statement and I forced you to tell me more. You say creativity is putting your imagination into something others can appreciate, a book, a painting, a meal, a product. Let me read a little bit more. You say, I've been creative my entire life. I always could be found drawing cartoons, factory plans for my father's snack invention. As a teenager, I carved figurines, designed and built award-winning furniture, hand-drew custom greeting cards, played guitar, wrote music, and funny stories. Absolutely fascinating. Are you a Renaissance man, or have we missed a title here, Mark? Talk to me.
I wouldn't say Renaissance. I'm not I'd say I'm not an expert at any of them. Except for always, I guess, yearning to do something creative. It's funny I was thinking about the drawings for the snack. So in parochial school, I drew a lot. I mean, I liked school, but I think I liked art more. So my father invented a half popcorn snack in 1963 as a healthy alternative to junk food for his kids. I think he was fearing impending dental bills from eating junk food and candy. So he came up with a method to half popcorn. So it was like these golden nuggets. And I used to help him in the kitchen. And when I went to school, I would draw what I thought what the factory would be, because it was a very tedious process. And I thought, oh, if we can make this like a streamline conveyor belt, starts with the raw popcorn, goes through the fryer, blah, blah, blah. So later on, and to honor my father, after I was working on it before he passed, but when he passed, my brother got involved, and we started a company, and we launched the product in 1998, and it went nationwide for a while. So I was making it originally in a catering kitchen, and we needed to scale up. So I started looking at other companies that did what they call co-packing. So they make the product for you under your label and stuff. So I found this one company, and when I stepped back into their factory, I said, oh my God, this is my drawing. I'm sorry for the Culkin thing,
that's
but
okay.
I said, oh my God. I said, this was my drawing, because you would have this product. They made a lot of things, from tortilla chips to potato chips, and they had a popcorn product too. It started on one end, and this thing was enormous. It went all around, probably not miles, but definitely tens of yards of conveyor belts, and ended up full packaged bags that ladies would pop them into the cases and seal up the cases and palletize them and send them off in a truck. And it just blew me away. And when I built a factory, for our own factory, and I designed all the equipment, and I designed the factory around our particular product and our process. So it all somewhat came full circle, which was kind of wild.
Absolutely. Do you sleep?
I sleep now in the south of France.
Okay.
And I dare say, with our other two guests here, I do drink the wine, because I live in the largest wine growing region in the world. So you have to. It's
no judgment, no judgment at all. I was going to ask you what you have for breakfast. If you've been creating at this level since you were a kid, and it's just, we're going to get to Dana's statements in a minute. She's going to talk about it too. But Mark, is there something magical that were you brought up with some kind of a magic wand that says you will just keep innovating and creating every minute of every day?
I think I have a chapter in the book about my mom. I called her our champion of the arts, because we all got I mean, Catholic school was great for that, because you not only got a good education in math and science and English, but we learned about art. I was painting oil paintings in kindergarten. Our teacher, Mrs. Sina, was great. I mean, we got involved with that, and then 50 years later, I'm standing in the Louvre looking at some of these things that we studied so many years ago. It's just, so I think that it was instilled in all of my, I've got 5 siblings, and they're all creative in their own ways.
I was going to say, I can still remember my art teacher in 7th grade named Mrs. Stark. She was a very large lady, shall we say, and all she did was criticize when we were supposed to doing some kind of figure drawing, Dana, and she would say to us, that person is wearing pajamas. Why don't you give them clothes? Make them look like they have real limbs on them. And all she did was, so I remember at one point I took my first real name starts with the letter B. I took the letter B and I put it sideways on an angle, and I made it into glasses. And I painted a person behind the glasses. And I can't remember Mr. somebody or other, I named it. And that got her approval, I guess. But anyway, it was just funny. So roots do come from teachers sometimes, and as long as they're not squishing us too much. I didn't paint again for 50 years. We'll leave that one alone. Dana, I'm looking at your, go ahead, Mark. You want to say something?
I wanted to say, my first Santa Claus, I made him cross-eyed. I'm not sure why, but nobody criticized me. He's unique in his own way, and maybe that's why he didn't deliver certain gifts to me, because he anyway.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dana. Here we go. Let's do the ending here. And thank you to Jordan, my engineer. Life is short. Yes. Break the rules. We all are. Forgive quickly. Not so much. Kiss slowly. It's the only way. Love truly. Please. Laugh uncontrollably. Join me in a 2-second laugh. Not too bad. And never, ever regret anything that made you smile. Work like you don't need the money, because nobody else really cares. Dance like no one's watching. When I was dancing, they always watch. Sing like nobody's listening. I didn't sing once on the show today. Love like you've never been hurt, because we all have been. Get over it. Let your heart regenerate, regrow, refresh, and love again. Money talks. Chocolate sings la. And last but not least, I stole this line from another host years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Everybody wave goodbye to LinkedIn. Wave goodbye.